Hello everybody and welcome to Parks Bros. It's Drew here, and I'm here to answer a question that's been on a lot of people's minds. Is MonteZOOma the Forbidden Fortress officially a dead project? Thankfully, I can answer that pretty quickly. No, it's not. If you've been paying attention to anywhere on the internet that is related to Knott's Berry Farm in the past couple of weeks, you know that there is even some track officially on site that was rolled in on a bed of a truck earlier in the month. And thanks to our buddy Jeff the Fish, you can actually see some incredible looks at what the support columns for the two spikes are now looking like. That's right, the tarps have officially come down and we can get a look at the support structure. At least for those two individual moments. A lot of the tarps are still up through the main portion of the track and where the launch track will be and was. But it's phenomenal news knowing that sandblasting had happened, and successfully so, to reveal this brand new green paint scheme, at least for the supports themselves. Now the track, we know, is a darker brown color, which is going to look really, really interesting. And you can find links to the original photo in the description down below. But all I can really say at this point is that it is super exciting and comforting knowing that this project is still going forward and still eventually looking to open, even if it isn't this year at this point, which I'd like to dive into a little bit later on. But if you didn't know, the original MonteZOOma's Revenge ceased operation in early 2022. That's right, it's been over 3 years since we last got our rides on MonteZOOma's Revenge. And while work picked up pretty quickly following the closure, everything came to a halt within the next couple of months. Then it sat there for almost a year before any changes happened, and then we had another 6-month to year period where nothing happened. And then, out of nothing, out of nowhere, we got some progress. And it's really just been this back and forth between nothing happening, at least that we can see, and everything happening within a couple of days. Now, I think it's fairly obvious, at least with this last chunk of time where they've been sandblasting that support structure as well as the track that is still there, and apparently repainting. We had no idea what was going on underneath those tarps, and that was kind of the point of those tarps in the first place, was to hide all of that construction progress as well as protect people down below from sand getting everywhere. But this 3 and potentially 4-year-long project has seemed to hit every snag it potentially could over the past couple of years, and after being originally announced to open in 2023, and then 2024, and then 2025, we haven't really heard much out of reposting the same announcement video with a new date stamped on it. But this restarting of construction, at least to our eye, seems a little bit different this time. I don't think it's a coincidence that the first pieces of track rolled in around the same time that those spike supports were uncovered. Now, I will say there is a lot of prep work that still has to go in before they end up attaching the two together in this really cool coaster sandwich, but it does make me really, really curious on how much more time is going to be needed for this coaster to open up as MonteZOOma the Forbidden Fortress. Merch has been out for this ride for 2 years already, which is insane to think about when the ride has been covered in tarps for half that time. As well as the fact that this ride has been missing its signature element, that loop, for 3 years now, which is just insane, and I'm still not used to it whenever I visit the park. But considering it is already May, I am really curious if they're aiming for a winter or fall opening for this coaster, or just gonna say, let's wait until 2026 for the spring season, which would make 2026 a really interesting and combative year for all of the parks within SoCal, at least coaster-wise, with Fast and Furious opening then, as well as the new coaster at Six Flags Magic Mountain. But knowing the rate that this coaster project has been going at, I'm not entirely convinced that they'll be able to get everything fixed up and ready to go by the end of this year. Don't get me wrong, this is the most excited I've been about this project since it probably got announced. But at the same time, a lot of that waiting, a lot of that disappointment has built up into me not totally trusting the process and getting that opening time frame right, especially since it's already been pushed back so much. Regardless, it is really nice to just see some movement and actually get an update on the track as well as the color scheme, which I think is really cool. Something that's also fairly reassuring is the fact that the Orange County Register posted an article just a couple of weeks ago talking about what is going to be confirmed for this new and reimagined ride. Not that this isn't stuff that's been gone over time and time again, but I might as well remind you all of what this ride will entail. There are confirmed to be 4 different launch sequences. What those are exactly, I'm not entirely sure, but you can bet definitely 2 of those at the minimum will start with launching us out backwards instead of forwards. So even if you get the one ride on it, I'm sure you'll want to go back to experience all the different types of launch sequences, which is going to be probably the coolest feature. Something I know a lot of people have complained about in the past with the concept art, though, are the trains. Now, unfortunately, we're never going to see the trains like Schwarzkopf ever again, because that's just not up to the safety standards of today. But it is confirmed that the new trains will have over-the-shoulder restraints, and more specifically a comfort collar styled restraint, which for me won't be the biggest gripe with this ride. I know a lot of people will absolutely hate the idea of this ride having that type of restraint, as I know for some it definitely can be a little cumbersome, a little annoying, especially when getting on or off the train, and during the ride experience itself might actually hit you in the face a little bit. However, I will say with this ride mainly just going forwards and backwards, that really shouldn't be an issue. My main concerns, however, involve the theming. Now, we haven't seen any theming go up on this ride as of yet, and I know they have a lot of work left to do. However, they keep reiterating the fact that this will be an archaeological dig that is a separate theme from Jaguar, and there's set to be many different booby traps and things to make this queue experience really great. And while I have no doubt in my mind that this train is going to be really great looking, I'm very concerned about where the theming will be out, especially if they try and finish this ride this year. Jaguar, as well as the rest of the theming around Fiesta Village, really stepped the bar up tenfold in comparison to what Fiesta Village used to look like, and I would really hope that they can get this theming in the station to at least look like that concept art as well as that announcement video from a couple years ago. But with all that said, I'm curious what you think. Do you think this ride is going to open in 2025, or is it going to be held off until 2026? I would love to know. And if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe, because we're going to have more updates on this ride going forward, at least when things happen with it. And of course, if you haven't seen, we've actually got tons of videos from our Japan trip that you should definitely go check out right now. And more will be on their way for about another month, if not even more. But thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And until next time, we'll see you on the next ride.